hi everyone. Today we have Saurav with us, and Saurav is currently working with Cargill, and he has recently transitioned ashore. He did a short tenure with Zero North, and now he has moved and working with Cargill. And apart from that, he also runs a YouTube channel with over 2,000 subscribers called Ocean Cadence, where he gives marine engineering knowledge to junior marine engineers.
Well, hi Sachin, thank you for inviting me and giving this opportunity to
Yeah.
share my opinion and my thoughts. Really
Yeah.
excited to be here.
So before we move to the shore life, I would like to ask you, how did you come to know about Merchant Navy and what gave you the movement to join this profession?
Sure. I wanted to do something where it was not just books. I wanted to convert what I learned into what I did, albeit on my daily life to make my livelihood. And that is when I started searching for options. So, I mean, I went through a lot of things. It was not only exclusively Merchant Navy. I went through openings at ISRO. I went through government openings. I went through private infrastructure. A lot of good companies like Tata, Ultratech, and all. But Merchant Navy was one of them. What spurred me on towards Merchant Navy was that I got to understand the profession. So I used to read and like how okay how do these engineers work, what do they do and everything. And in between, a few companies here and there would come, they'll show all these fancy PPTs and everything. So I got a little fascinated by that, and credit to my father, he guided me a lot through the journey. And that is where the core part of my journey diverted or drifted, let's say, from pursuing something more theoretical like an MTech or a PhD, because I
Okay.
was more into scholastics at that point of time. I would confess that,
Yep.
towards something more practical. And contrary to what people think, I mean, typically about sailors, that it is only about money. We see money and we get into Merchant Navy. So I'm sorry to disappoint everyone, but it was not that for me. It
Okay.
was purely for the love of doing things with my own hand and fixing things and making things run.
Okay. That's nice to know. That's a very different answer from what I've heard from the other peers of mine. It's generally about the uniform or the money or travel the world. After the passing out parade, the biggest time for anyone is joining your first ship. How excited you were when you went on board your first ship, and what were the challenges you faced on your first ship?
The first vessel that I joined, MV Lowlands Opal,
Okay.
was from Canada, a place called Baikamo, peak winters. And I mean, I still remember outside my hotel, it was like I was like waist high into snow. And when I got there, when I landed there, I was just overwhelmed. First of all, by the experience. And that is why I've always told everybody who has been connected to me in some way or the other that I have always been very thankful to Merchant Navy, shipping as a profession, to provide me that opportunity to be overwhelmed, first of all. So when I reached the ship, I mean, the amount of overwhelming uh, euphoria that I had before with all these things happening, now you take it and multiply by 100, because it was something that I had never seen before, right? The
Yeah.
gigantic proportion, the size of it, the beauty of it. When you step on it, the first time when you step on the gangway, it's like you have done something to make your dream come true. And I'm not, let's say, sugarcoating it by any stretch of imagination. This is what I felt at that point of time. And I remember climbing up the gangway. Then when I entered, I mean, when I got onto the ship, I was all the euphoria had now settled down, and now I was standing there knowing not knowing what to do. I didn't know. I mean, you know, the construction of a bulk carrier, it's simple, it's fairly easy, there's nothing to do. And I was lost on board a bulk carrier as well. So you can gauge just how overwhelmed I was. And
Yeah.
it needed somebody to guide me through the accommodation and go and get ready, and then wear the boiler suit and get down to the engine room. And the first day when I got to the engine room, the first time, a few hours after getting on board, I went in and it was like whatever I had thought. I mean, as I told you earlier, that I wanted to see the core of mechanical engineering and everything summarized at one place and work in it. It was a dream come true for me. I have been, and I would say this, I mean, with fingers crossed. I have been very lucky throughout my time, not only on board, but in fact, my throughout my entire career so far, that I have always had a very good set of people around me. Yes,
Yeah.
people do come and go, but I have been fairly lucky with that sense. So, on board the first ship as well, I was fairly lucky. Yes, whatever the hardships associated with it, getting to know the job, getting around, settling in the routine and everything, all these things, that comes and goes. But I was having a very good team, and it was one of the most challenging ships for me because it was a little slightly old ship, and plus it was a manned vessel. Usually if you see on board an unmanned vessel, you have a very limited amount of time, and a
Yeah.
lot of things, it's like task based, very very rightly. So, but
Yeah.
when you are on a manned vessel, you get to work individually with each engineer at a very
Yes.
lower rank, so you
Yeah.
get a lot of learning from all these people. So my first vessel, I would say, always one of my sweethearts, Lowlands Opal, and it beat me into shape.
So then, since you already mentioned that you always wanted to have a job which is involved with the actual mechanics of machinery and everything. So then, what led you to start thinking of a transition to a shore-based career now? Because if you look out, that could have been your dream job. So then, what led you to, start thinking of moving ashore?
Yeah. So in shipping, I mean, as a profession in general, what you'll feel after a certain amount of time, if you have given it already to the profession, you'll feel that there is a lot of redundancy in terms of the technology that is there.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, let's say if you are an experienced tanker hand or an experienced gas carrier hand, it's the same kind of vessels, it's the same kind of routine, the same
Yeah.
kind of lifestyle. Yes, responsibilities grow, the money increases as to what people like to hear about it, but what you also need to understand it that it's just one lifetime that you have, right? So
Correct.
you need to, it's like a frog that stays in a pond and thinks this is the entire world. It is fine, I mean, up until a point of time it's fine, because it's like a small kid growing into a full grown man and realizing that the dreams I had when I was a kid, I wanted to ride a bicycle. Okay, I ride a bicycle. I wanted to go to a certain match. I saw that match. Now what? Now what next? So after a point of time in my professional career, I realized that I want to understand shipping, not only being on the vessel, not only by cleaning filters or overhauling machinery or generators or doing main engine units, but I also want to understand more about shipping. I want to understand how the commercial world works. I want to understand how do regulations get shaped, how do people decide that okay, what is next, how do we get these instructions or these letters that we are following until the last word, how are these instructions made. So I wanted to be on the other side of the landscape and understand more about it, and that is what, let's say, pinched me a little bit to start thinking about a broader transition. I'd never set a dedicated deadline for myself as to what time or what rank or which year I would like to transition. It was always more of a open ended option for me.
Okay.
But what I always wanted to uphold was that I would let go of sailing or shipping the day I feel that I am still in command of it. So I am the one who is choosing. A lot of times, what happens is that when you leave a profession, you leave it with a sour taste. Maybe
Yeah.
if you are forced out of it, if you have, and I mean, shipping is, as a general a profession, is very vulnerable. You might get injuries, accidents, and a lot of things, and it's very unfortunate. It's nobody's mistake at all. It just happens when it has to happen. But when you leave something at the best of your ability, you realize you have that confidence in itself that I left something even though it was a lucrative option for me, even though I had guaranteed money, I had a very good lifestyle, everything. I chose to struggle. I chose to do something which now I think is good for me. So it will always, the every day when you wake up, it will drive you. It will not let you just to be reluctant or say okay, this much I do and it's enough.
When looking for options ashore, what helped you the most?
I mean, once you have a settled lifestyle in shipping, many times what we do is that we just keep our routine in a cyclic process, right? I mean, going on board, doing the job, earning money, coming back, spending money, going for trips, repeat.
Yeah.
This is where we get set back as in comparison to people who are there outside in the corporate world or the open business world, and we then after 5 years or 10 years realize that okay, we are not aware about a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So when I was appearing for my class 2 examinations, and at until that point of time I had already realized that okay, now because this feeling, this overwhelming feeling inside me is telling me that I have to do more, I have to achieve more in this field or in this profession. So I had started briefly understanding about it through a lot of online resources. Now what how I went about it was that I read and read and read. I mean, this again, this is a very personal opinion of mine, and it is bound to change with everybody's own opinion. What I always feel is that when I go to somebody for an opinion, the chances are 50-50, right? Because a person's opinion of a certain path or a certain choice is always their end of bargain as to what made them do it or how it fared for them. Now, all in general in shipping you will see that a lot of people, because of the different I mean the difference in the amount of money or the comfort or the leisure that is there between being on board and on land, they have a certain what you can say is a little offbeat or a certain negative mindset towards transitioning for sure, and they
Yeah.
would want you to echo the same. So but what I personally felt was, let's give it a fair chance. Let's understand the pros and cons of it. So then what I started doing was I made a list as to now, as a third engineer with a second engineer's license, what are the career options that are available for me. So then I went to different websites. In today's world where AI is at its peak, you always have a partner, right?
Yeah.
So it's like somebody, Grok or Chat GPT or somebody is there, is always there to help you. So it's very easy, the friends are there, it's just they're hidden. So I just made a list, and then I started understanding how to get into these roles. So for example, let's say an assistant marine surveyor or a junior marine surveyor, it's a
Hmm.
very beginner or a very entry level role in the field of surveying, and there are very few things that you need to go into that role. Similarly, vessel optimization, vessel performance, and a lot of other things, even inventory management, or being a junior dry dock superintendent, or whatever. There are many things like that. So that helped me to understand that yes, there are opportunities, and it calmed down my nerves, because then I realized that yes, jobs are there. The biggest insecurity for a seafarer is we think that the moment we get down from ship there is no worth of us.
Correct.
The only worth of ours is the money that we have in the bank. But no, that's not true. We have spent a lot of time out at sea, but then don't let it get to your head. We are still
Correct.
normal people, so we just
Yes.
need to be open with a peripheral vision and keep seeing things as they are. So that is what I mean helped me. And again, getting, as you rightly said, that my initial opportunity with the company that it came. So again, uh, in my professional experience, good people, open to listen, open to understand what I wanted to bring to the table, and evaluated me on the strengths that I had rather than telling me what my shortcomings were. And what I would always like to tell people throughout this entire process is, don't stop grooming yourself, whether it is your communication, whether it is your personality, especially your core skills. Never leave your core skills, and try to understand yourself not as a human being but as a product. How do I sell this product named Saurabh Sinha? How do I need to, how what more do I need to give into this product to make it sellable? That is very important.
You know, you have a second engineer's license, but you didn't sail as a second engineer. So, do you think that in today's day and age, not having experience as a senior level officer or engineer will limit your growth?
So I mean, this is a very common question, right? And
Yeah.
it's an insecurity which is there in almost everybody's heart,
True.
to be very honest about it. But on the contrary side, if you look, and I have had the chance to speak with a lot of people who are master mariners and chief engineers, they have the insecurity that, did we stay out at sea for a little too late? Are
True.
we very constrained in terms of the growth opportunities that we might get, because we are not very well versed with the technology. So even those people, those ladies and gents, are working on themselves continuously. So in today's day and time, I would say not at all. There is no restriction, there is no what you can say, it's the sky is the limit for you. The only thing is, you need to realize that if you do not have a master's or a chief engineer's license, you will have to compensate for it in a different way. One
True,
of the things, as we spoke just now, was about your personality and your technical ability. The
true,
other thing is the add on knowledge or the add on qualifications that you might focus upon.
correct.
So that is something, because even in corporates, let's say, forget the fact that we are seafarers, everybody needs specialization, right? That is how we get
Yeah,
into management roles. That is what it is about. So it is very important to acquire more and more skills, not to get stagnant. Once you do that, you'll see that there is absolutely no reason why you would not have the same or even better growth than any of the people who have a higher license.
yeah, that's very true. A lot of people try to contact me with a lot of their questions, and one thing which I always get is how much money I'm going to get. They always ask me, this is the amount of money I'm like not earning, but let's say they'll ask me, I'm trying to apply for this role, and do you know how much are they going to pay me? And I tell them a figure, let's say it's X amount of money. So they, oh, this is only one third of what I get on board. This is very less. I deserve so much more. But so how do you tackle this mindset?
I mean, it's a very, very rightly stuck chord, to be very honest, because I get almost, let's say, 10, 20, and I'm not as a big, what you say,
Yeah,
communicator on LinkedIn yet, but
yeah,
even still, I get 10 to 15 people every day who ask the exact same question that you have told very rightly. And I am always perplexed at the very start of the question, because people would always ask, where is the job? How much is the money?
correct,
People do not even bother to ask about what the job is.
correct.
So, what I personally suggest people always is that, because I mean, we were just discussing about it, about how vulnerable seafaring is in general, and let's say how uncertain life is in today's time, right? So,
Yes,
imagine yourself in a situation where tomorrow going on board a ship is no longer an option for you.
true.
That door is closed for whatever reason, good or bad. It can be family reasons, it can be physical, it can be whatever. No job, it's covid or whatever, recession or whatever. It's not there. Now you are on zero, right? From zero, anything is more lucrative.
Yes,
So the situation you are changes the viewpoint of how you look at things, right? It changes
true.
the entire viewpoint of seeing at things. Just because you're earning a good amount of money right now, it is because you have specialization in that particular field. Yes, your
Correct.
core skills are utilizable to the people on shore, but you still have a lot to learn and a lot to be shaped out of when you are coming back to land. Now, having said that, a lot of people, what they do not realize it is that at sea, it is only the money that is coming in your hand, right? When you
Yeah,
are at sea 6, 7, 8 months, and I know a lot of people might contradict it, because now is the tech savvy generation and a lot of people are doing this trading and a lot of things, but most people are lazy like me, to be very
yeah,
honest, and we like to work, we like to have a good meal, and we like to sleep. So
yeah,
your earning options are closed, right? You are not saving anything, even though it is tax free, as to what people say, tax free
yeah,
money. But you are not making money out of your money. There are a lot of other things that you might be doing right now. There is no savings, growth or multiplication of your money. So you have to think that, okay, I might be taking a pay cut in the hindsight, but looking at the broader future, I am going to multiply it at a much faster rate. I mean, how much does SIP attract or infatuate people, right? Not because it is going to earn you a crore tomorrow itself, right? But we
yeah,
always look, okay, $100 spent today is going to get me a lakh and a half 20 years from now. So we do look at 20 years from now, right? So
yeah.
why not the same thing when you are making a career transition? I mean, why does
Correct.
it always have to be hindsighted?
If you spend 2 to 3 years from here, build up on your skills, and the biggest thing is you have to keep on working on yourself. Just the way you do on ship, you do additional courses you do your next competency exams, and then again you do refreshers. If you do same way ashore, looking out for the opportunities and with the developing technology and everything, what is relevant at that time, definitely you will be in demand always, and you will stand out, and you will be paid according to that.
Just a very important thing in this also needs to be understood by people is that seafaring, I mean, transitioning from seafaring to a shore based job which is related to seafaring, it's one of the fields that still has opportunity for a lot of diversification, which is something
Correct.
very rare in shore based jobs. I mean,
Correct.
apart from the computer science or the IT industry, which is there right now with the
True.
upcoming boom of AI and a lot of other things, which has a lot of scope of growth and diversification, it is
Yeah.
only seafaring that has that kind of an opportunity. You can
True.
be anything. There are so many rules right now which people are not even aware about. I mean, I remember being on ship and we only used to think surveyor, auditor, superintendent. That's
And
all we used
charter
to
for
think.
deck officers.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
never knew about things like product manager. We never knew things about voyage optimization specialist or vessel performance specialist or performance managers and all these things. There are roles coming up every day. It's not it's a very dynamic field, and
Yeah.
it is going to be like that because shipping is always on its toes. It is
Yeah.
an industry which is always evolving. There are regulations coming out left, right, and center the moment we sleep and until the moment we wake up throughout the entire day. So it's never going to be stagnant. You never know the next opportunity where it is going to come from. And I have personally seen people who have skyrocketed. I mean, again, to be outright true and blunt about it, it's not a guarantee, but I have seen people who have skyrocketed in their careers, and not it's not fluke. It is because they deserve it, but they decided to be a little patient at the start, as you very rightly said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a step worth taking.
There are a lot of myths which we have about a shore-based career when we are sitting on ship. So, were there any myths that were broken when you transitioned ashore? And was there anything new that you got to know about the shore-based career which you think could have been good if you were aware of this before making the move?
So, one common mindset or the mentality that most of us sailors back in the day or even today, and I am very sure in the upcoming future as well, will always have is that when we look at a mail or when we look at a communication coming from shore or anything that is done by shore, whether it is technical or whatever in nature, we always have this feeling of resentment because we think that people at shore know nothing about shipping or what is happening on board a ship. I was one
Yeah,
of them. I have no regret or no qualms in saying that and admitting that, but it's
yeah,
not like that. I mean, it can be, it cannot be any more further from the truth than it is. So people who are sitting in offices, I mean, especially the technical roles and the management roles and all these different kind of things, these people, some of them might have been on the vessel, some of them might not have been, but they are aware about what is going on board a ship, and they are
definitely.
aware to an extent that even a lot of people like us were not when we were on board ships. So, and why is it? Because for us on ship it's very simple, right? As a third officer, what is your job? Okay, make the bond list, go and take the watch, navigate the vessel, okay, conduct the drill, come back, sleep, have your dinner,
Yeah,
sleep. You directly do not have any implementation or any involvement in the commercial aspect unless you are the master or the chief engineer where you are in knowing in and out about the commercial aspect. So your life is very limited, right? But on shore, every step that you take has a commercial, has a technical, and has a infinite number of implications on the overall image and the efficiency of the company. It can be right from the bottom until the top. So do not think that, I mean, and this is for every sailor out there, do not think first of all that people are not aware about what is going on a ship. People are. And second thing, do not think that people do not care about you. Everybody does. It's just that we are a team. And I mean, I have heard this before. Even I used to grin when people used to say this, but it is true now. I realize it that yes, we are a team. I have seen so many times. I mean, I today I'm associated with one of the biggest operators that there can be in the entire global market, right? And I still see people, they, when they take technical decisions, when they take operational decisions, they are very well aware about the constraints of the vessel, the constraint of the market, the constraint of the master and the crew, and everything is being kept into consideration. Nobody is making blind guesses or uninformed decisions. So you have to be rest assured about that, and open up yourself in a manner. Do not hide information, do not be resistant towards sharing, because the more you do that, what I mean, I don't know about the younger generation that is coming in, but I always used to feel that the older lot, as we call them, they always used
Yeah.
to think if we tell more, they'll question us even more. And then this cycle will keep going on. See, nobody has that time and that space and that energy today, right? Everybody is
Yeah.
trying to do their job in a way that everything is safe, everything is profitable, and we get to go home.
Yeah.
So nobody is running behind you, nobody is trying to trouble you. Let that myth burst. First of all, work as a team, collaborate as a team, and think of shore and ship as a single unit, because without one the other cannot function. It takes time to realize that and accept that, but eventually people do.
Yeah. True. True. That's true. Because that's really very nicely put in. One of the other things which people think when they, want to transition is that we'll have a lot of family time when we move ashore. Do you get sufficient time for yourself, for your hobbies, and to give to your family and enjoy the overall quality of life which you used to miss when you were on board a ship?
See, as seafarers we always have, I don't vouch for anybody else, but I always used to have this confusion in my mind that the world stops when I join a ship. But it doesn't, right? Everybody in today's day and time, they have their own lifestyle, they have their own commitments. If you're married, if your wife is working, if you have a
Yeah.
kid, if your kid is going to school, your parents are growing old, your siblings are moving out, things are changing continuously. So the moment you go to a ship and the moment you come back, 6, 7, 8 months have passed, things have changed, right?
True.
So, and even in today's seafaring life, let's be honest about it, right? I mean, after coming down and before going back, at least a month on both sides is dedicated towards the company, right?
Yeah.
Because there are so many courses, so many competencies, direct or indirect, to take care of, and a lot of
True.
other things. Plus, then you have to shape your finances in a certain way that you don't get overburdened. Once you come back, okay, 2, 3 days, 4, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, it's all hunky dory. But then people keep getting going about their own lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And they have their own commitments to take care of. So this is, again, this is something which is what I would like to regard as a myth, that as a seafarer I have a lot of free time on my hand and I can do
Yeah.
better for my family. It doesn't matter if I have a car and it's sitting there in the garage, but I don't have anybody to go and drive me, ride it with me, right?
True.
Rather than that, what I would suggest people is, if you have transition to shore, and I also, even when I did and even right now, it's a little difficult, yes, to find the exact balance. But what we need to understand is that we need to stop the mindset that this is going to stop. Because on ships we always have this mindset that 6 months done, 5 months done, 4 months done, it's not going to happen now, this is your life. So
Yeah.
within your life you need to start taking out time for the things that you like. If you like to hit the
Yeah.
gym, wake up a little early in the morning. If you like to read or write or listen, let's skip all those reels and everything and start focusing more towards all these things which are a little more literate and a little more intellectual in nature, right? If
Yeah.
you So that is how you shape your hobbies. And in a shore based job, you have weekends at your entire disclosure. You have you have the ability to attend major festivals with your family. There are your teammates, your organization is always considerate, you have designated leaves, everything. So it's just about planning things in a better way, and you'll eventually realize. And the biggest benefit of what I have realized it so far, and I always felt, is that sometimes, when you come back, it doesn't matter even if you have had a late shift. But if it's 8:39 or whatever, when you come back and you see your family's face every night, or when you leave them every morning, I think it is a good enough reward in itself to think
Yeah.
a little more about it.
That's
See, I mean, just to uh, take a little other perspective also into this
Yeah.
for a few seconds. I do understand, because as I said, I am also from a very humble background. I do
Yeah.
understand when people say that, okay, it is important for me to earn money. What will I do if I have time but and not money?
Yeah.
But as you very rightly said, there has to be a balance. It should
True.
not then from there go to a situation where all you have is money and not time. So
Yeah.
don't, just because you like having something sweet doesn't mean that you put the entire bucket of sugar into it, right? It has to
Yeah.
be a teaspoonful only.
Yeah. It's the balance has to be struck everywhere. That's what has to be made, because being ashore, I think you have the ability to make that balance, which you cannot when you are ashore. That's on board rather. You cannot do that. So how important it is for seafarers to start using LinkedIn, and the presence of it, and how to build their presence on LinkedIn, why it is important, how to do it, and what to avoid when doing so.
So, what people need to understand in seafaring in general is that now it's not only about a single company, or as you said, a simple pipeline mechanism,
Yeah.
or it's not going to be streamlined, it's not going to be unidirectional. So, you need to put yourself out with a portfolio which is conducive enough and which is enticing enough to let people understand what kind of a person you are professionally. No, now, what better way to do it than everything that is available at your disposal in today's day and time?
Yeah.
LinkedIn, I would say, is one of the biggest tools amongst all the other tools. There are a number of others. It depends on which particular region or which particular country or which particular role or whatever you are targeting. But yes, so when I say LinkedIn, I would like to include all of them within the same portfolio. What it does is that it gives a very brief run through for any possible recruiter or anybody interested in you, to know what kind of person this is. And why it is important to stay updated is because you don't want yourself to run stagnant in any place, right? It's like you want to stay ahead of trends in everything that you do, whether it is checking out the latest reels, listening to the latest songs. The trends change in a minute's or a second's time today. It does not take even a blink of eye right now. It's like you go to sleep, you wake up, there is something another going on in the world, and you are entirely perplexed as to what it is. You need to make conscious efforts to stay ahead of time, and LinkedIn is also one of those places where you need to follow this logic. But you have to be very careful. I mean, you asked a question as to what not to do
Yeah.
in addition of what to do. First, I'll focus on what not to do.
Yeah.
It's a professional website,
Yeah.
it's a professional social media.
Yeah.
Do not crowd it with unnecessary spam posting. Nobody who is credible enough. I'm not talking about the mass, I'm talking about the class, to be very blunt here. Is nobody who is credible enough is interested in spam posting. They
Yeah.
are not looking at your pictures, they are not looking at your holidays. They are interested to know what you know on the technical level, what is your experience, what kind
Yeah.
of a communication you have, what kind of a mindset you have, and that's it. So keep your posting, keep your sharing, and keep your entire cycle on LinkedIn in a very streamlined fashion. Use only relevant things. I mean, if you understand LinkedIn more deeper and deeper, you would also realize that LinkedIn also rewards you if you stay relevant to your cause, to your
Yeah.
crux. So, as a vessel performance specialist, if I share and post and comment and like things that are related to vessel performance, it gives the algorithm an understanding that this individual is concerned enough to know about what is happening in the market. Then it
Yeah.
connects me to people who are like minded, to people who are on the same or at a higher pedestal, and it helps me to speed fast my career. So that is very important. Now if as a vessel performance specialist I go and start posting about acting and directing, it's going to be of no use, right? I mean, I am not going to go and win a national level award for it. But yes, I have to stay true to my cause.
Yeah.
What to do is take, unlike, I mean, sorry, similar to what any other profile or what any other portal would have is that you need to stay active. First of all, you need to be
Yeah.
active on it. You need to, and again, with respect to not spam posting, you need to go and see relevant posts, read through it, make relevant comments, use
Yeah.
relevant hashtags, interact with relevant people, people who are going to share something which is worthy to you. And tomorrow, I mean, when you are in a situation where you can give it back, where you can share ideas with people, where you can help them understand, do not hesitate in doing that as well, because that is also very important. I mean, if a person comes to me and asks me, as you very rightly said at the start of the session or in the mid of the session, if I remember, that a lot of people do come and ask questions, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, I understand that even for people during their day's work, it gets a little bit overworked or overwhelming to answer everything, but take out time for that, because imagine yourself being in that situation a few years ago. And again, I like to study all these things a little bit in depth, and trust me when I say this, the algorithm rewards it. It will not it will not reward spamming, it will not reward all those things. This is not this is unlike any other social media.
True. That's presence on LinkedIn, I think, is very important because even LinkedIn has a lot of job opportunities which continuously keep on coming. And if you seek relevant interest, you will be shown those opportunities very well. If you connect with the right people, the right HRs, the right people in the company, they post that we have a opening over here.
See, as somebody, I mean, a lot of people in today's time are not aware of it, but because I have the privilege of my wife being a very senior hand in human resources,
Yeah.
I know about it that LinkedIn has dedicated tools for human resource professionals.
Yeah.
It has such diversity, and all these things come at a cost. People are
Yeah.
paying a hefty amount of money to get access to these things. So
Correct.
as much as you are desperate for getting a job or an opportunity, people are 10 times desperate to get somebody to fulfill that role. It's just that people are not going to hire you just because you are let's say doing things but not credible enough or relevant enough to the thing that you are doing. So uh, again, it brings us back to the point that stay frequent but also stay relevant.
Yeah. True. True. That's really important. I think generally, most of the things have been answered. So before we start wrapping up, one thing which I would like you to tell people is what exactly is your role, what you are doing, and you previously did. If someone aspires and want to get into that role, what kind of skill sets they need to have, what kind of companies. I think it is like just a broad aspect of companies which are actively hiring they can look into and where they can find them. Next would be what could be a career growth in this path if they stick long enough, and eventually how to succeed in this career.
Sure. So, speaking about my current role, I am a vessel performance specialist.
Yeah.
And prior to this, I was a vessel performance analyst. So,
Yeah.
basically, what it encompasses is that the name in itself is quite letting it out that vessel performance, right?
Yeah.
So, as we all know, that the typical setup of it being qualified into the navigation side and the engine side, or the technical and the navigation side, vessel performance is more towards the technical inclination.
Yeah.
What people like me we do is that we take care of the technical aspects of shipping in a lot of different ways. So, for example, the consumptions that are being shared from a vessel side, we monitor those consumptions. We try to find out different trends amongst those consumptions. We try to keep ourselves updated and our systems adaptive towards the changing fuel technologies. We try to understand more and more in detail about the engine efficiency, about the design performance, and a lot of things which might not be as relevant for you when you are on board, but it is very relevant for us when we come to shore. Like, for example, hull fouling,
Yeah.
cleaning of your hull, the different kind of modifications that are needed in terms of energy saving devices, and the dry docks, retrofitting, and all these things. So these are some of the typical responsibilities that you will find in a vessel performance analyst or a specialist or a manager's role. How you go about it is basically, let's say if you are crawling from top to the bottom, or let's say climbing the ladder, what you'll typically witness is that it is more data centric. You deal around a lot of numbers, so you have to be very very familiar with Microsoft tools like Excel, Power BI, and all these things. Plus you also have to be familiar with things like consumption models, which are known as fuel models,
Yeah.
and weather predictions, a lot of things which are related to weather related calculations, which are a little more theoretical in nature, more towards naval architecture and a lot of things. So you have to be a little more theoretical in your approach as well. So you'll get a knack of it as you keep moving, and then you are trying to, in a very nutshell kind of approach, you are trying to make sure that you are compliant at all points of time, you are cost effective at all points of time, and you are efficient at all points of time. So that is what the role of a vessel performance professional does. uh, and in terms of career growth, as I said, that getting in as a vessel performance associate or a vessel performance analyst, then later on becoming a specialist or a senior specialist, and then a manager, and even the technical lead or the decarbonization lead or the director of performance
Yeah.
and operations, and all these things are the hierarchy completely depends on what kind of company you are working with. So as you might be aware that working with a product company, it involves a lot of things like fuel models and a lot of things. So there are a number of designations which can also bifurcate if you have good IT skills and you
Correct.
can contribute more towards the product. If you're
Yeah.
good at your technical and your math side and your core side, you can diversify more into the decarbonization and the other things. So the growth opportunities is infinite. It is dependent upon entirely on what you would like to choose and pursue. And unlike any other thing that you might see on board, this career is very rewarding. What I
Yeah.
would like to say is, yes, it takes a little bit of analytical skills and a little bit of patience, because sometimes we have a half cooked knowledge of things when we are on board and we try to cement our positions with respect to that. So when you'll come ashore and in these performance roles, you'll understand that no, it doesn't happen like that. So for me to sit on board a vessel and think that okay, if my hull is, let's say, even 1 or 2% fouled, it might cause a loss of thousands and thousands of dollars, and there are thousands of people who are actually trying to devise a model or trying to devise strategies that can save these dollars.
Yeah.
So when I am on board, or when I was on board, it I was in the blind side of it and I was not aware of it. And having come to shore, this is something which has come to light for me, and I am really happy to see how this profession is growing.
Let's say someone today comes to you and asks you, or that I want to transition now. So, what would be the biggest advice from everything that we have said? What would be the most key takeaway that you would want to give them, that, if you focus on nothing, this is the at least minimum, please focus on this point to succeed in your career, Ashore?
See, I am a person, or I am a man who likes to dwell a lot into thoughts and famous sayings and famous people who have said it.
Yeah.
So I always remember quotes at critical times. And again, I would like to quote something is that you have to take the leap of faith first. The trust part comes later. So if you have got the thought that I want to transition, do
Yeah.
it. Do not
Yes.
hesitate. Don't take a backward step. Backward steps never help people. It's good. I mean, there was a famous TV series in India back in during the time when COVID was at its peak,
Mm.
called Aspirants, and
Yeah.
you might have seen it. So a lot of a lot of deliberation was done on the part where people said that you should always have a backup plan
Yeah.
when you are going about something. But your backup plans should not be so hard pulling towards you that they make you reluctant in taking the forward step. It's a bright new day, it's a bright new opportunity that you are going to get, and I would always recommend people to make that switch as early as possible. Personally, if somebody is to come and ask me, I would say that the difference that I've always found between being on a ship and being at shore is that everything said and done, the amount of knowledge that I can gather today being on shore about different things, if I am willing, that is like it's almost close to infinite. I mean, there are so many things that until uh, I am living, I am alive, I would not be able to know about them in depth. So, and that is the kind of life people should aspire for. Because after a point of time, everything hits a saturation point, whether it is money, whether it is glamour or whatever. But knowledge is something which is infinite, and it needs to be that way.
True, true. Well, very well put. So now moving forward, so generally a lot of people say that the first 3 years are very crucial for your hip to shore journey. You have completed 1 year, you have 2 years remaining. How strong are you that you are going to continue here? And what plans do you have for yourself? Like, where do you see yourself in the next coming few years? What kind of career or what kind of path do you see yourself choosing? Whether it's going to be an education further, or you are going to just stick with the professional journey and climb up the ladders up. How do you plan it?
See, and again, this is something which is very personal to
Yeah.
everybody's own approach.
Yes.
But
Yes.
as to again to round off to my very initial disclosures that I made, that
Yeah.
education and add-on skills are very important in today's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So that is something definitely that I personally always focus upon, and it can come in a lot of ways. There are a lot of management degrees, executive degrees, a lot of
Yeah.
qualifications, a lot of
Yeah.
certifications. It just needs to be what is more relevant towards the direction that you are shaping yourself into, or what
Yeah.
career you want to follow. So learning, I believe, should never stop. First of
Yeah.
all, whether, I mean, it doesn't matter even if you have let yourself go as a master or a chief engineer and then switch to shore.
Yeah.
Even those people are learning. Let's be very honest and very blunt about it. So that has to be there. Again, shore and sea are distinguishable in another aspect, is that shore needs a little more grind. It is a little more tedious. It's a little
Yeah.
more time taking. As you very rightly said, that sometimes maybe a fourth engineer might get promoted to a third engineer's role just by doing 4 months as a fourth engineer.
True.
And sometimes you'll see somebody becoming a second engineer within 3 4 vessels or 5 vessels. And I mean, it's not, it doesn't bemuse anybody anymore now
Yeah.
when you are on ship. But that doesn't happen. I mean, it's a very rarity on shore to see that people have to grind.
Yeah.
You will see that a lot of people are fascinated and infatuated by a lot of profiles and a lot of people in today's time, but we forget to see the grind that is there behind their careers. And
Yeah.
even though they are young, they have started from a very young age also. I mean, let's imagine a B.Tech graduate or a M.Tech postgraduate or MBA postgraduate. They started what, 23, 24. So
Yeah.
even if they are 34, they have put 10 years of their career, right, which is
Yeah.
quite a lot. So we need to be, I mean, learning. We need to be patient, and it is never restrict yourself. I mean, that is one thing which I would like to tell people, is that there are a number of roles in today's market. Roles are being devised and created out of specializations which we cannot even
Yeah.
imagine. So tomorrow there might be a role which is very new and it is the right fit for you. So just keep sticking to your core skills, add additional value skills, and just keep waiting for those roles, while obviously you are growing through the pyramid, or through the landscape, as we said rightly. You will get those promotions and all those things with respect to time, but always stay open, always keep your vision peripheral and your ears open.
True. True. Then thanks a lot. Yeah. Then because if people want to connect with you, where can they find you, and w- where they can see Ocean Cadence, and what kind of people should watch Ocean Cadence? That's also very good to know.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ocean cadence is something that came out of, it's like, again, quoting something, necessity is the mother of all inventions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when I was appearing for my class 4 and my class 2, I felt that there is always a vacuum in the market of uh, things being portrayed outright to individuals who are into shipping, or even non-shipping professionals also, as to how they work. I mean,
Yeah.
everything is out there, but it's a little more theoretical in nature. But what if I was, as you said very rightly in between, that if I was to communicate it to a 5 year old,
Yeah.
how do I do that then? So the best way of doing things is to do it and show it to somebody, right? And
Yeah.
that is why I, during my preparations, identified that animated presentations, pictorial presentations, and video presentations, or educational content is something which is lacking in today's market still. And even if it is there, it is quite expensive and quite out of reach for a lot of people who come from a very humble background.
Yeah.
So I started Ocean Cadence with that in mind. I felt that people should be able to access maritime knowledge content in a very approachable way and understand right from the basics. And right now it's on YouTube, and
Yeah.
our channel is growing day by day. People shower us with generous comments and appreciation, and we are going to shape it up slowly slowly into something much larger, into a multimedia group where
Okay.
we are targeting things like app based services, 3D presentations, and a lot of other things which can make it even more interactive for young seafarers or young school and college going students and everybody. Or even if tomorrow, let's say, if you want to if you're a new cadet and if you are fascinated about showing your father, who has never stepped out of a village, as to what you do when you go on board. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about all those flashy reels and all those
Yeah.
things, the core work that you do. So you can show him and make him understand, right? That this is what I do, Papa. So
Yeah.
that is what my aim is with Ocean Cadence. And as to reaching out to me, I am somebody, as I said, that I am there on LinkedIn, and I
Yeah.
am always available at people's beck and call. And I try my best to take out time to make sure that every question is answered, to make sure that everybody, I help people in a lot of different capacities, in identifying roles, in helping them to make get the confidence that they need for this transition. So because people like you, people like me, we have gone through that those dire straits where we had that lack of opportunities, ideas, and confidence. So I
Yeah.
understand it, and I am always there for helping out people in terms of knowledge and everything.